Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson, that's Nathan Fox. We're the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email here from Noah.
The only job I've wanted for a long while now, there are a lot of G's on that word long.
Yeah.
A long while now is to be a prosecutor or a public defender. I prefer being a prosecutor, but I see it as two sides of the same coin. I just want to be involved in the criminal justice system and help people. I hear all the time that these jobs aren't as competitive and I don't need to worry about T14 nonsense or anything like that, although I'm sure it wouldn't hurt. My LSAT is 168. My GPA is 3.69. My question is, what should my criteria be for a law school? What am I looking for? And how can I narrow down my search while staying true to my goal of going for free, becoming a prosecutor or public defender, and living close to my family in Connecticut? My current criteria in order of importance are 1, ranking, 2, full ride, 3, good crim law program, 4, closer to Connecticut as I can do internship programs. Please let me know if you would add or change the criteria that I'm working with here. Best, Noah.
Yeah, I would.
Change them?
Yeah.
Full ride, number 1?
Yeah, full ride number 1. As a public defender, you're not going to be making a lot of money. So you want to graduate with as little debt as possible. That means going for free because you still have living expenses and so on. So go for free, number 1. Then choose the school that has the best rank. Actually, I would put ranking below Connecticut if that's where you want to be.
I would too.
So it's going to be free ride and as close to Connecticut as you can get. I wouldn't worry about them having a good crim law program. All
Every
schools
law school
are
has a
essentially
good
the same.
crim law program.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't not have a good crim law program. You have to take, every 1L takes crim. Every law school has tons of criminal law classes as electives. Every single law school, like, they just can't stay in business if they don't occasionally create public defenders and DAs. They just have to. It's too critical a part of what law schools do. And lawyers, like getting a JD, you're a generalist. If you pass the bar, you're allowed to represent someone in a fucking murder trial.
Mm-hmm.
That might not be true. There might be cases where you can't take the case. But my understanding is that if you're admitted to the bar, you're admitted to the bar.
Yeah.
And you can represent pretty much anybody on any matter. And so there is no such thing as a law school that doesn't have a good crim law program.
So don't even think about that. I would really, the problem with thinking about being close to Connecticut is that it might prevent you from applying broadly and then undercutting your first priority, which is going for free. So if you take these seriously and you honestly put the first things first, it's going to be free ride, probably location, and then probably ranking.
Well, there's also like 50 law schools that are close to Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about New England. You're talking about tiny states.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about striking distance of New York City. There's no shortage of law schools in the Northeast.
Just don't want him to shoot too narrowly, right? Like,
no,
oh, it's got to be in my backyard.
That's why you should apply. Yeah, you should definitely apply broadly. And our advice is always going to be, don't fucking decide until you have the offers in hand. The only way you can do that properly is to apply broadly, like more than you're probably thinking. There's a limit that, like I don't probably think people can productively apply to more than 30 schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're thinking 10, why not 12?
Mm-hmm. Or 15. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't, if you're thinking 2, you're thinking wrong.
Yeah.
Like you need to be like 10 at kind of a minimum, because who knows what schools are going to do. We talked about scholarship shenanigans last episode. Schools change their scholarship strategies wildly from year to year. So you might see a school that gives 50% full rides this year and gives 0% full rides the next year.
Yep. Totally.
That's one risk of the scholarship estimator, is that we're only using last year's data, and we should maybe consider expanding that to use or have the option at least to use 3-year trailing data or something like that.
Yeah.
5-year trailing data, more is probably better, just so that people can get a better sense of we want you to position yourself in the scholarship negotiation game as best you possibly can. And you can ignore the rankings, ignore the crim law programs, uh, apply broadly in, the geographic area that you think is close enough for you to
Hmm.
Connecticut. I think you should be able to easily get to 15, 20 schools in a broad range of rankings, but you can pretty much just ignore the rankings. With a 168 and a 3.69, maybe you don't bother applying to Yale. But otherwise, you can apply pretty damn broadly and just maybe they'll surprise. Maybe even Yale would surprise you. I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's your dream school, I'm not saying don't apply to Yale. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, you can apply really broadly. And then once the offers are in, then you can decide where you're going to actually go to school.
Totally.
Anything else for Noah?
No, keep us
Oh,
posted.
do you think that being a prosecutor and being a public defender is two sides of the same coin?
I guess I don't know what that means. I mean, they're working against each other, and I think it's good to have experience in both to be good at either one of them. But
Hmm.
they are different.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They're different. They are also very similar. I
Yeah.
do not think that every prosecutor is an asshole, nor do
Hmm.
I think that every defender is saving people who deserve to be saved.
Yeah.
There's a balance there. I think everybody who works in the field understands that there's a balance there. I think
Hmm.
that many law school applicants don't.
Hmm.
So I think that Noah is saying something kind of astute here, which is if you want to work in crim law, there's no reason not to be open to the possibility of working for either side. One
Yeah.
thing that you'll learn about in your 1L crim class, they're guaranteed going to talk to you about prosecutorial discretion.
Mm.
Prosecutors don't have to bring every case.
Yeah.
And so if you want to help the world as a prosecutor, one thing you can do is you can not bring cases that shouldn't be brought. And so there is a lot of, good to be done on
On
both
either
sides.
side. Yeah. I see what you're
Also,
saying.
there are
A lot of
cases that do
bad.
need to be brought,
Yeah.
and those people should, be prosecuted for the
Yeah.
things that they have
You're
done.
helping the victims and you're keeping society, in order.
Safe, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that Noah is saying something pretty smart there. I happen to know somebody who went to law school with me, who went to who became a prosecutor right out of law school,
Mm.
and then now works in white collar criminal defense.
Mm.
So it's real common to get experience in criminal law and then switch teams. I remember him in law school telling me, "Oh yeah, there is a path to money where you go work in criminal law as a prosecutor. You'll get tons of trial experience,
Yeah.
and
Real
then the
experience.
firms
Yeah.
need you because the firms don't like junior associates in a law firm get no trial experience. But if you've worked in the prosecutor's office, then you've prosecuted a million criminal cases. Now, when our corporation is being sued for some nefarious shit, you can go in and defend that case because you've been on the prosecutor's side before."
Yeah, well, I can affirm that too because when I was a 3L in law school, I worked at the DOJ and they gave me a case and they said, "Can you write the brief for this?" And that brief was submitted to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. I'm in a
Wow.
fucking 3L. That just
Wow.
doesn't happen in big law.
Yeah. And it's not like, it certainly makes sense that, there are more criminal prosecutions and defenses that need to be carried out than there are lots of other types of trial. Like most things don't go to trial, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
Hmm.
there's a lot of work to be done there, and you can gather a lot of really good experience. And I 100% agree with what Noah is saying. Also, I'm glad I remembered to touch on this point. You do not need to go to a top 14 law school in order to practice criminal law.
Yeah.
Not even close. So paying top 14 prices, which every law school tries to charge top 14 prices, you do not need to pay top 14 prices. And that's why Ben is saying, hey, Given the rules of the game that we are currently operating under, where law schools are out there trying to increase their rank by offering scholarship dollars, if you have a 168 LSAT and a 3.69 GPA, you could squeak in potentially to a top 14, top 20 type of a school, and they will charge you full price. Or you could dip down in the rankings a tiny bit, take a scholarship at a lower ranked school, kill it at that lower ranked school, graduate with zero debt, and absolutely just waltz right into a job in criminal law. And that's definitely the route that we would recommend for somebody like Noah.
Totally. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.